News Hub Sport.
Win the start, win the race. It's a trend that's dominated the last month of America's Cup racing and proved to be the case again as Luna Rossa and Team New Zealand ended the opening day with one win apiece. But things could be about to change depending on Auckland's COVID-19 alert level. A decision will be announced by the government tomorrow, and as Michael O'Keefe reports, it's not just the possible return of big crowds that could have an impact on who wins the Old Mug.
Sheds shut up and no one could be seen at either Team New Zealand or Luna Rossa today. Both teams clearly making the most of what will be the last day off until someone lifts the Old Mug.
Do maintenance on the boat, make sure it's 100% for tomorrow, which it will be, and for us as a sailing team and the design group, really just go through the data of yesterday.
While both teams will be analysing the data in detail, on the surface the boats appeared to be fairly even to former Team New Zealand helmsman Rod Davis.
I think Team New Zealand maybe had a little edge, but they were close enough.
Which is why winning the pre-start has become so important. In the past 14 races, only once has a team come from behind to win, and yesterday stayed true to that trend.
I think the margins in these boats are getting smaller and smaller, so any loss is obviously very hard to come back from.
But that could be about to change. If the government decides to drop Auckland to alert level 1 over the weekend, that will see the reinstatement of racecourses B and C, the ones closest to shore and the ones that have more wind shifts and puffs.
B and C are what we call more volatile race courses.
And that volatility can create more passing opportunities.
That in itself will lower the start premium a little bit.
But that will all depend on what the government decides. Team New Zealand, while they would love to bring the racing closer to shore, are not phased.
We're happy to race in any conditions on any course.
And for tomorrow at least, that will be back on either A or E.
Now, Michael, we're hearing Te Rehu suffered some damage yesterday. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, that's right. If you can remember back to race 2 yesterday, Team New Zealand helmsman Pete Burling was caught on camera falling over as he was trying to run from one side of the boat to the other. Now, while at the time it seemed innocuous, Blair Tuke today revealed that fall actually caused damage to the boat. He said it caused a dent to the top of the boat there. But no fear, that dent has since been fixed by the shore team. He says that it's in tip-top shape and should be ready for racing tomorrow.
Good news. Thanks very much, Michael.
The best start to your day. It's the AM Show.
OK, it's day 2 of racing in the America's Cup, Auckland today. Emirates, Team New Zealand and Luna Rossa will start the day 1 apiece. But will the race be as close today? Who would know? The weather is holding the key, I think, for all of this. AUT sailing professor Mark Orams is with us. Mark, g'day, good morning.
Morena.
It's the weather, isn't it? That's the big one today.
That's the big one, all right. We've got a massive high-pressure system extending over us now, and that means that we've got really light winds probably for the next 3, potentially even 4 days. And certainly today it's looking pretty marginal.
What's the deal when it comes to racing? When do they stop it and say, hey, look, not enough wind?
Yeah, so there's a protocol that's been agreed, and that protocol is that 6.5 knots average in the 5 minutes before the scheduled start time. So Ian Murray, the regatta director, basically has an anemometer on his boat, and he uses that on the course start box to make that decision.
So are the boats going fast enough, basically, just to sail? Is the question, isn't it?
Well, at 6.5 knots, it's really difficult for them to get up on their foils. In fact, people may remember that Ineos Team UK had to get towed up onto their foils by their chase boat because they couldn't generate enough power from the wind.
Are they likely to, 6.5 knots, so what sort of wind would you need for that?
Oh, it's very, very light. So that's the sort of wind strength where you don't even see any indications of white caps. It's not flat calm, it's not glassy calm, but it's certainly just above a drifter. What's interesting, though, is when these boats can get up in the air and fly, they are so efficient that they generate their own apparent wind, and so they can fly. The problem is when they are stuck on the water, they don't have enough power to get up.
No, to get up, yeah.
Which of the race courses do you think is best suited to the teams in conditions like today, and also for the fans to check it out?
Yeah, well, we've only got 2 options under Alert Level 2, assuming it doesn't change in the short term before racing's due to start today, and that's course area A and E. So A is the area off the East Coast base of Auckland on the North Shore, and that would be, in today's wind conditions, the best chance for racing because you've got more exposure to the Hauraki Gulf there. You're not as constrained by land, and the light thermal effect, by that we mean the heating up of the land drawing in the breeze from offshore, is their best chance of racing today. So I would be very surprised if they didn't pick course area A.
Looking at the apps that I use, it suggests that it's going to be windy earlier in the day, and it can really drop out around the race time. So why can't they just make the races earlier?
Yeah, they made an agreement to race late in the day here for Northern Hemisphere television viewing. So that means that it's one of those compromise things. You're right, as we head towards the early evening, and most places are like this, the breeze tends to fade unless there's a major weather system. So in a day like today, where we're really relying on the heat of the land to draw in the breeze, we'll get the most breeze probably around 2 to 3 in the afternoon, and then it starts to fade from there. And remember, start time's predicted or scheduled for 4:15 and then 5:15. So it's unlikely that I think we'll end up with 2 races today. Hopefully we can get 1 in, but it is Auckland, so you never know. The breeze can do things that completely defy all the models and predictions.
Because it's an isthmus.
It is an isthmus. Racecourse A, that's the East Coast base. It's off the East Coast base. So that's your best vantage point for today. AUT sailing professor Mark Worms, appreciate your time. We haven't confirmed those racecourses yet, by the way. The 7:30 news.
Kia ora, Arnold. Taking a look at some midday sport. We're just hours away from when America's Cup racing is meant to get back underway. Team New Zealand and Luna Rossa are currently level at 1-1 after Wednesday's races. Victor Waters is down at the viaduct for us. Kia ora, Victor. Could weather conditions hamper this afternoon's schedule?
Afternoon, Melissa. Well, yes, there is real danger that there'll be no racing today. Even though it's a beautiful day here in Tamaki Makaurau, there is very little wind to speak of. In fact, it's only forecast between 6 to 9 knots for today. Of course, you have to remember, for racing to go ahead, there needs to be a minimum of 6.5 knots. Here's what race organisers had to say about today's situation.
There's actually a very, very high percentage that we're not going to get any racing in today. But we will just have to wait and see. Unfortunately, the prognosis going forward is not a whole lot better either.
Oh, that's a shame, Victor. And this morning's alert level announcement, would have been really good news for fans today.
Yeah, exactly. It has lifted up the mood a little bit. In fact, there was a collective cheer from some fans here down at the viaduct as we moved to 12 o'clock this afternoon. So, look, fingers crossed we can get some racing today and those fans can watch some action out on the water.
Thanks so much, Victor. The Chinese Olympic Committee is